What's up, guys, and welcome back to Gabe Miller Music. DAWless electronic music production has been kind of in lately, and honestly, for good reason. For one thing, the technology has gotten better and better, it's gotten cheaper, it's gotten more powerful to allow this kind of thing to proliferate. There are a lot of us on YouTube now talking about it and making it seem very cool and very fun. And that's the thing, it is very fun. It's a break from staring at the screen, it's hands-on, it's sometimes more spontaneous, sometimes you get sounds that maybe you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. So it's a good time, but even though products have come down in price, it's still, to use the technical term, hella expensive. So today I want to talk about one particular setup that I've found works pretty well and is under 800 bucks. And if you want to go even lower by swapping out some pieces of gear, you actually can as well and go under 500. And before we get into this, once again, I want to acknowledge that this is only one possible setup and there are a ton of others. And then also that I'm very lucky to have been able to work at an internship, a paid internship, for an entire year while living at home. And I did build this setup up over years. So with that all out of the way, let's talk about the setup. So the big workhorse of the setup, well, it's two things actually. It's these two pieces of gear right over here, the Novation Circuit and the Boss RC202 looper. So the circuit is kind of the main instrument, and really you can use this just by itself as a DAWless jamming device. That was kind of the gateway drug for me, and I've got a bunch more jams with it coming up in the future because I really love this thing. It's an inspiration machine, it's extremely powerful, and you can use that just by itself for DAWless jamming. So I mean, that's one sub $350 option if you want, but if you want something that allows for even more options, this setup may be for you. So Novation Circuit, and in this case I'm using it partially as a sequencer, partially as a MIDI controller, and then as a synthesizer and a drum machine. Because it's got the two synth engines, which can make a wide variety of sounds, and then it's got the sample library, which you can load in whatever sounds you want. And so I'm feeding that into the Boss RC202 looper. So the big thing with DAWless jamming is getting all your sounds into one place and getting them to all sync up to each other and play nicely to each other. And so I found that the RC202 is kind of an interesting way of doing that I don't see a ton of people talking about, where you record everything in on the fly, because you're looping it, and you keep stacking layers. With the RC202, it's got two separate tracks, and you can apply effects separately to both tracks. You can have just one track going at a time, plus you can actually have different banks of loops, so you can switch between them on the fly as well. So you can actually create proper song structure if you're smart about the way that you build up a song. And this is one area that you can go a little cheaper if you want to. If you get something like the Ditto looper, which goes for 100 bucks, or if you happen to have an iPad or an iPhone or something like that, you can always get a looping app. You lose a bit of control with these, but they are a cheaper option if you're wanting to just get into it slowly. So we've got the drum machine, synth, and sequencer over here, and we've got the main hub through which everything runs and is timed together. But there are two things that this setup is missing. For one thing, you're missing something that's completely analog, which is nice to have, and you're missing the aspect of on-the-fly knob twiddling sound design, because while you can design sounds from scratch on the circuit, you have to do it via their web application. So to fill that void, you can add on one of the Volca series instruments. In this case, this is the Volca Keys. This is a completely analog paraphonic synthesizer, and you do all the sound design on the fly. And I can use the Novation Circuit as a MIDI controller for this, which is very nice because these keys are a little on the small side. And what's especially nice is that I can feed this into the looper at the same time as this, because this only has the headphone out and this has the guitar cables out. And this can take both at the same time, which is lovely. So that's the three aspects of a DAWless setup: the sound design aspect, the drum machine aspect, and the central hub aspect. And this setup for under 800 bucks encompasses all of that. It does require a bit of musicianship, so you know, for me, I'm not a great piano player, so that is a bit of a hindrance. And then also, I've been a drummer for years, but I'm a bit out of practice, so my precision in my timing is a little rusty. So I do have to practice a bit to make this setup as good as it possibly can be. But so far, just for casual jamming and for a video or two, it's been a lot of fun, and I really recommend it. And the other thing that's nice about this setup is that if you want to go cheaper or more expensive, you can. You can switch out the RC202 for the RC505, which is its big brother with 5 tracks for a lot more control, or go down for something like the Ditto Looper. For the drum machine, you could switch out the circuit for something like a pocket operator. And if you have other gear lying around, you can swap your synths out, you can swap your drum machines out. There are a lot of different ways that this gear can be combined for different sources of inspiration, different music making styles and workflows. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to watch a jam that I made with a prototype version of the setup, you can click or tap down over here. And if you would like to see more synth jams, you can click or tap up over here. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will be back with a new video on Monday. Peace.